Story 1. Not a wife, but a girlfriend. I took those thoughts behind a shed, shot them in the temple, and buried them under 6 feet of concrete. Story 2. It was my friend and another friend's girlfriend. He made his move immediately after they broke up, which ruined the entire friend group. What kind of person do you have to be to do that? There are millions of women out there. Go find someone who your best friend isn't in love with. It ruined one of my best friend groups. Story 3. However you deal with your other strong feelings, paint a picture, write a poem, compose a song, lift a weight, or engage in any other activity. Feel your emotions, work through them in a healthy way, but never act on those feelings. Story 4. In high school, my best friend started dating a girl. They would have intimate encounters in the car while several other people were present. I was a 15-year-old virgin. Her older sister started driving us to and from school. I was the first picked up in the morning and the last dropped off. We would have a few minutes alone each day while her sister dropped me off. We began flirting lightly. I was a flirt and likely instigated it. She was receptive and even started pinching me. One day, I pretended to go in for a kiss. She closed her eyes and opened her mouth, but I stopped short and said, "What? You were going to kiss me?" She denied it. Regardless, we were getting close unintentionally. We began talking on the phone for hours a couple of times a week. We didn't cross any lines while she was dating him. They broke up for no significant reason other than my friend wasn't interested in serious relationships and wanted to keep dating other people. After 2 or 3 weeks, I asked him if he'd be okay with me asking her out. His response was dismissive. So I did. We have been married for over 40 years. Recently, I discovered that she cheated on me with him and his wife in a 3-way encounter while I was in the military and overseas, along with several other instances through the years. I suppose the fact that she was going to kiss me that day so long ago should have been a warning. Story 5. Not really. When my friend starts dating a girl, I see them as a pair in my mind, almost as if the girl is an extension of my friend, if that makes sense. Story 6. There is a feeling called limerence. It can feel almost overwhelming when one experiences it. Limerence is a state of mind resulting from romantic feelings for another person and typically includes intrusive, melancholic thoughts, or tragic concerns for the object of one's affection, as well as a desire to form or maintain a relationship with that person and to have one's feelings reciprocated. In The Godfather by Mario Puzo, it's explained as the thunderbolt. Although Michael does ultimately win the girl, typically it's a state of mind or feeling that usually lasts a few months. Story 7. First, recognize that you should never act on infatuation. Second, understand that infatuation is not actually love. It's hard to draw the distinction before knowing how love works. I didn't have anyone to explain the difference to me, but luckily I avoided her until I became infatuated with someone else, and eventually, the friend's girlfriend faded from the picture. However, I still fantasize about her. She was very attractive, and I experienced a physical reaction whenever she was somewhat flirty. That would have burned all the bridges in my close friend group. I'm glad I managed to avoid that situation. Story 8. No, but I have had 2 of my friends' wives try to cheat with me. This is one of the grossest and most disturbing situations I have ever been in. Story 9. It happened to me once. I turned it into a short story about a vampire countess trying to seduce the main character, and he narrowly escapes back to his wife. It actually helped me process the feeling. Do not act on the feeling. Story 10. I have liked girls that my friends ended up dating, and as soon as they started dating, I lost all interest. Story 11. Sorry if this is harsh, but it's for whoever needs to hear it. Soul mates don't exist. For all intents and purposes, you can find someone else to love just as much or more. Why are you letting yourself become obsessed with someone who is unavailable for you to pursue romantically? Do you want to pine after her like a teenager who has been in love since elementary school? I can't imagine being a fully grown adult who thinks in this obsessive and juvenile way. Out of all the places you choose to search for and lean into love, you pick your friend's marriage. Are you really willing to, without any regard for others, attempt to sabotage an entire marriage because you're in love? Grow up. Learn to appreciate beautiful and amazing people without idealizing them as the one who will fill the void in your life. It's not fair to them or healthy for you. Story 12. My ex-wife ended up with a kid I thought was my friend. He was much younger than us, pitched on my baseball team, and I even attended his birthday limo beer crawl. In hindsight, there were signs. They flirted, I suppose, and had a tangerine and water balloon fight right in front of me in our backyard, where we always hosted friends. He was a literal bag boy at Vaughn's who lived with his mom. I was like a full-grown man. Maybe she was even cheating then, although her brother told me they hadn't. I'll never know for sure, but it was eerily fast when they started dating. It was a tough pill to swallow at the time. I was resentful and definitely threatened to hurt him. But now they're divorced too, and she's a single 42-year-old mom of 2 kids. It's ancient history. Story 13. Not in love exactly, but there was a lot of unspoken weirdness going on. He was a former roommate, and she had been roommates with one of my exes. We all knew each other really well. He worked night shifts and would drop her off at my house on Friday or Saturday nights. Sometimes we would go out, but a lot of the time we would end up cuddling on the couch and falling asleep together. He was completely supportive of that and would pick her up when he got off work in the morning, often walking in on us curled up together under a blanket, still fully clothed but more comfortable together than many husbands would be okay with. One time, I went up to their place on a weekend he wasn't working to watch movies with the 2 of them. He set up a mattress on the living room floor for his wife and me to lay on together. I'm about 90% sure the guy wanted me to be intimate with his wife, but I carefully asked her about it a couple of times, and she said he was just very comfortable with that kind of thing and didn't get jealous. Her explanation of "he's just weird like that" lined up with his character, but I always felt there were many things people weren't saying out loud. That said, we did that for quite a while and never so much as kissed, although she would frequently lay on my chest, and we would have our arms around each other. I would have been open to more, but I wasn't going to make a move without ensuring everyone was on the same page. Since I couldn't figure out a way to ask, "Can I be intimate with your wife?" without it being a potentially friendship-ending question, it remained cuddling until I started dating someone. Story 14. I had a girlfriend but not a wife. I chose to slowly remove myself as they were closer to acquaintances than friends. They broke up about 3 months later. We started talking 6 months after that, dated a year later, and now we are married with kids, going on 10 years together. I knew within 5 minutes of meeting her that I was going to be head over heels for her. Story 15. She divorced her lazy husband and married me a year later. We have custody of her 4 children and my 4 children. It has been 12 years and counting, and it is the best decision either of us has ever made. She discovered during her divorce that her ex-husband had slept with her brother, who is gay. She prepared the divorce paperwork and told him to sign it, or she would inform his mother. Story 16. Keep it platonic, no matter what she says after a few drinks. For example, if I had met you first, you would be mine. Your cologne smells so good that I find you attractive. In the latter case, I gave her husband, who is my friend, a couple of sprays and the rest of the bottle of cologne I was wearing, advising him to have fun with his wife instead of talking to everyone at the bar. Story 17. A friend of mine did this all the time. He tried to flirt with whatever girl I was with. So I pinned one of his. He hated it. Our friendship ended. Story 18. In junior high, I had a crush on a girl who was popular enough that I didn't really have a chance. My friends were more popular than I was, and since it was a small school, all the popular kids dated each other at some point. I didn't really have to deal with it because if she had been willing to date me, I would have eventually gotten my turn. But she wasn't interested, so it didn't really matter. Another time, which might be closer to what you were thinking about, there was a girl who was really into a friend of mine who was in a relationship. I got the impression that he was sort of keeping her interested in case things didn't work out with his girlfriend. I told him I was thinking about asking her out, but a couple of weeks later, he broke up with his girlfriend and started dating her. I gave him a heads up because I didn't want to step on any toes, but I was a little annoyed he acted on it instead of giving me a chance. Story 19. I became strongly attracted after getting to know them for a while. You just don't take action. Even if she's giving you flirtatious looks, you change the subject, leave the room, or do whatever you have to do to avoid acknowledging those looks. Story 20. My entire life, the way my brain works is that if she is a friend and is dating a close friend who gets along with me or our group, she becomes like a sister to me just as the friend is like a brother. They become paired in my mind. Story 21. Yes, absolutely. Distance helped a lot. I stopped being a day-by-day friend and now I only see them once in a while. This helped me focus on things other than a hopeless relationship that could never be. Story 22. Not only is it unethical, it completely breaks the bro code. Put it in the shed and bury it 6 feet deep. What about when they break up or divorce? It still breaks the bro code unless the friend says go for it. Therefore, the burial site is permanently secured. Story 23. I ignored my feelings until one day when I visited her while her husband was on a work trip and discovered that she also had feelings for me. She asked me, "Where were you when I was single?" I dodged the question and felt awkward for a moment. The subject changed, and we continued our conversation. Nothing happened besides talking that night. I left and later stopped communicating with both of them. That's how I handled it. It's been a few years, and I still wonder how they are doing. Story 24. No, I don't understand most people's concept of love or falling in love. That takes time, intimacy, and interaction. So no, it could never happen. Liking someone is a different story, but it still has never happened. Story 25. I will start by stating that the correct response to these feelings is to let them fade away, especially if the individuals involved are happily married. Betraying a friend in such a manner is one of the worst actions a person can take. The only exception might be if the relationship was not serious or if they have divorced, and some time has passed with your friend being okay with it. That being said, the way some people discuss how easy it is may indicate they have never truly been in love to begin with. It might be more about attraction. I have never fallen in love with a friend's wife because they are not my type. The closest I came was a couple of years ago when I attended a wedding. My friend was there, and his wife had a transformation, making her more attractive with her playful personality. However, I haven't thought about it since then because I am deeply loyal to my friends, and my feelings did not go beyond that. If you are experiencing similar feelings, it is important to talk to someone without judgment, such as a therapist. This moment may not be meant for you, but there will be other moments. Story 26. A friend of mine's ex married his best friend. He is okay with it but questions the man's taste in women. Story 27. Convert those feelings. Tell your friend what a great couple they are and how you desire something similar. Let his wife know that she feels like a sister to you and that you appreciate her. Once you express it, you start to believe it. Story 28. With a friend's girlfriend, I started to spend less time with him until they broke up. I don't think he noticed, but we returned to being friends without any issues. In another instance, my so-called friend and I were not close. We were part of the same friend group, but never communicated or hung out outside of group gatherings. I developed feelings for his girlfriend and avoided attending events where I thought she would be present. Eventually, they broke up. A few months later, I ran into her at a party, and we went back to her place. We hooked up a few times that year, but then she moved out of state. I don't think he ever found out, and I didn't see him for a while after their breakup. Now, years later, we are both in a fantasy football league together. Story 29. I had a friend who was secretly in love with my girlfriend until he could no longer keep it a secret and told her. She, in turn, informed me and I shared it with my entire friend group. Guess who is no longer a part of the friend group? Don't be that guy. Look for a single woman instead. Story 30. You don't fall in love as you would trip over an object. It does not just happen. I could not hinder it. No, falling in love is a mental process that you take part in. Just don't allow yourself to fall in love with someone else's wife. Story 31. You know, I wish that I had Jesse's girl. I want Jesse's girl. Where can I find a woman like that? I play along with the charade. There doesn't seem to be a reason to change. You know, I feel so dirty when they start talking sweetly. I want to tell her that I love her, but the point is probably moot. And she's watching him with those eyes. And she's loving him with that body. Story 32. We gathered and impacted their engagement and friendship. affecting both their lives. It didn't last, which is unfortunate for everyone involved. Story 33. No, it happened the other way around. I had to avoid that friend for a while because he did not want to believe me at first. Story 34. Fallen in love or lusted. There is a significant difference, and I believe people use the word love too casually. Story 35. If the wife's friend is loyal, then she won't look at you. It's pointless to have these feelings. If the wife's friend does something with you, then she isn't loyal anyway. You only want her because she is off limits. People tend to desire what they can't have. Focus on your marriage and don't chase another woman. The grass isn't always greener. Story 36. No, what's wrong with you? Have some self-respect. There are so many women in this world. Why would you even look at this wife like that? Go out and meet people. Story 37. I set boundaries as soon as one of my friends starts dating a woman. I can be her friend and we can talk about anything, but I always remember that she is with my friend. I want them to be happy. Once a friend enters into a relationship, my perspective changes. Story 38. Understand that if you love her, you want what is best for her and her family. You can love her but not be in love with her. Story 39. Yes, I fell in love with my best friend's girlfriend. They broke up, and we have been married for 5 years now. Story 40. My current fiancée was already spoken for, but not officially. After we saw each other through a video call, she became instantly attracted to me. 12 months later, we are together. The other person calls me a wife stealer. Story 41. Not a wife but a girlfriend. I made the leap. She and I are now happily married with 2 kids. He and I fell out but patched it up later. It was all messy in the short term, but it all worked out in the end. I never would have done it if my long-term intentions weren't sound. I knew I was taking a risk, but I'd rather regret taking the chance than regret not taking it. Story 42. My best friend is flirtatious and very selfish. He married a low-key girl who is attractive, has a great personality, and is intelligent. Their marriage is struggling. I have thought that I could be a better partner for her than my best friend. Story 43. We spent a night together after having drinks one weekend while he was out of town for work. We never spoke of it or did it again, even though I know I could be intimate with her while he's away and the kids are at school again. But I won't. He loves her and I don't. Story 44. From time to time, I develop a significant crush on a client in my field, and they are often married. I am married as well, so I have never acted on these feelings. Once, a client texted me months later, asking if I wanted to go out with her. Unfortunately, I was with someone else by then. It's challenging to navigate my feelings for women I have a crush on while trying to ensure it is not obvious. Story 45. Cheat or develop a drinking problem. These are the only dominant male maneuvers you have at your disposal. Bonus points if you cheat after acquiring a six-pack. Story 46. A friend of mine got involved with a close friend's girlfriend. He waited until we broke up and then made his move about a month later. We are no longer on speaking terms. Story 47. Not a best friend, but his cousin and I had a thing for each other. Eventually, she left him for me and he wasn't pleased. The relationship didn't last long, but we all made up. He then got another girlfriend who developed feelings for me. You can see where this is going. He was inconsiderate anyway. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.